So, for some strange reason, Amazon has been playing with their numbers. Instead of just saying, like, we messed up and we need to maybe reboot, so they're playing with their numbers. As early as October 4th, the Amazon head was saying that 100 million customers had seen the show. So, I'm going to go through the bulk of this article that's from October. So, Amazon has been suspiciously quiet about the Rings of Power viewership in 2 weeks since the first season concluded. So Amazon has yet to share viewership numbers on its Rings of Power finale weeks later. The only mention of the show's performance in its quarterly earnings report caused an old stat. The show has yet to cross the vague 100 million viewers milestone it teased 3 weeks ago. So my first thought about that is that, yeah, of course they're doing that because the numbers were much lower than they had been saying. So something was suspiciously absent from Amazon's quarterly earnings released Thursday. Any new viewership numbers on its prestige Lord of the Rings series, The Rings of Power. And I don't know, I'm just wondering, like the writer, if when they said prestige, it seemed like a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Maybe they're being passive-aggressive. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the first season of the show, which cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make, concluded on October 14th. Amazon has yet to release any viewership numbers on the finale, and the earnings release published Thursday repeated a vague stat that the company first teased more than 3 weeks prior. So I'm not really clear what the impetus for doing that is, except it could only be that really, like, you're lying? I don't know. On October 4th, Amazon studio boss Jennifer Salke said in a splashy Variety cover story that the show was cresting towards 100 million customers having watched it. Is that real, or is that in Minecraft? The show was only mentioned one time in Amazon's quarterly report on October 27th, reiterating that the show was closing in on 100 million viewers today. Maybe, and I address this in my open letter, and by the way, if you haven't seen it, please go ahead and see it. If you have seen it, please share it with a friend. Okay, that plug aside, if you guys had written a better first season, or at least a first season that had been more locked in on the Legendarium, that had been more locked in on the actual origins of the Silmarils, I don't know if you would have had to run cover. So that means that Amazon has yet to cross that threshold more than 3 weeks after first touting the squishy number as an achievement. Questions of the series' staying power. The growing silence on Amazon's part begs the question as to whether the company saw a drop-off of viewers after the 2-episode premiere. Amazon said that 25 million viewers worldwide watched the 2-episode premiere in its first day. A Hollywood Reporter feature on creators J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay later noted that 12.6 million viewers watched the premiere in the U.S. in the first 4 days. Weekly Nielsen streaming figures based on minutes viewed on connecting TVs, so not laptops, have given a decent idea of the show's viewership in the meantime. Nielsen confirmed with Insider that 7.4 million U.S. viewers watched the 3rd episode in its first weekend. So they were decent figures, but The Rings of Power has also faced the growing pains of a highly expensive series based on beloved IP. Still, Amazon said Rings of Power in its first 2 months has driven more Prime signups globally than any other Amazon original. But audience reaction was harsh, with the show receiving a 39% Rotten Tomatoes audience score, but a 85% critics score. Amazon has contested that the show was review bombed, in which people purposely try to lower a movie or show's user ratings, usually for racist or sexist reasons. So I'm not going to read the rest of the article, but what I want to say is that, let's say all the numbers that Amazon said were accurate, you still didn't get the viewership that really you intended when you created this, because you were dealing with an internationally recognized IP. And you could have easily, had it been structured better at the very basics of the writing and at the very basics of canon, you could have potentially had a viewership off the top of my head of 200 million and up, because it's an internationally recognized IP. So I'll link the full article potentially in the description for those who want to read the article for themselves. But really, and I'm not really just making it up, I think the potential could have even been up to 1 billion in terms of viewership. And maybe that's crazy, but just looking at, for example, some of the comments I got on my original video, there are people who were watching it in India. So the scope that maybe you want to have is a different scope in the 2 years that you're working on this new season. I think the most important thing is not really necessarily your CGI. I think the most important is your writing. So why fudge the numbers or play games with the numbers if you are? Why not just fix what is broken? I mean, there's an easy fix. So I may be potentially talking in the void, but you have 2 years to really do something completely different. And then often the first season can sometimes not be the best season when you're dealing with shows. So why not learn from your lessons? So I reckon that's enough out of me on this particular topic. You want, do me a favor, check out the open letter. You want, give me a like. You want, subscribe. You want, share this video. And if you're also interested in supporting the channel, you can check out my site, which is sabcast.com. Buy a t-shirt or a hoodie if you want to support the channel. I'm out.